Welcome back, Home Wizards, where we love to help you improve your home and improve your life. Cindy Dole, Eric Stromer, and, well, what about rats? You know, I'm worried about them because we're in the middle of this kitchen remodel project, and our entire attic is now exposed over the kitchen, the dining room, the family room area, and I'm just looking up there, and I'm going, they could be up there, and they could be jumping down on me.
Oh, they're up there.
They're up there.
And they will be
and
jumping
they're watching
down.
me.
Yeah, they're watching and judging you, I might add.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, they're judgers.
They're
rats.
judgers?
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Well, listen to this for a terrible thing.
Okay.
So my
This
friend,
is your mom, right?
No, this is actually my friend John, who lives over off of Sunset and Bundy, and he was trimming away all the bougainvillea branches over his arbor because he was going to do a little remodeling. So he decided to hack the stuff away, and I guess through the process of doing that, inhaled what was said to him rat urine.
Ew.
In the form of dust,
How did he know that?
Well, he did until he got violently ill and had flu-like symptoms. Whenever you get flu-like symptoms, you're pretty much done. But he got them, and he's been on antibiotics for like 6 or 8 weeks just because he got some terrible, almost like a plague kind of a virus.
I have never heard of
isn't that unbelievable? Yeah, and so
it.
Apparently the immunologist that he went to said that it's not like the Hunta virus, which is another thing that happens a lot in the Midwest, where you're cleaning out barn areas, and the same thing, you inhale that mist from the vapors, from the dust, from the urine, from the mice or the rats. But it's similar to it, and one of the symptoms is that your legs become like large muscle groups become rigid, and
you grow a tail.
And you grow a tail. No, but so every symptom that he was reading about on the internet started to show up, and his arms like clenched up on him, and finally he called the doctor, and this is what was going on. So it was really serious. Don't do that.
He starts
Stop it.
gnawing at things.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we were talking with Dennis Beltran earlier with Beltran and Sons, and he gave us a lot of good advice in terms of catching rats, because he's been catching rats for like 27 plus years, and you've tried to catch rats, and you've been pretty successful.
I've been successful. I caught 3 in one trap once, and the rat guy that
That's
I
a
hired,
trifecta.
The rat guy that I hired came and said, I've only gotten 2 in my life in one trap. I've never heard of 3, and was actually jealous and kind of didn't like me after that. Yeah.
He's not one of your guys anymore, right?
No.
Have you ever hurt yourself with a rat trap?
Yes.
Because that petrifies me. That you set the spring back, and what if all of a sudden, boom, it gets you?
It does, and I have.
And yikes!
It hurts. Yeah, it hurts, and you're
not going to break a finger, are you?
You can't imagine how a rat can escape because it goes so fast.
But they do.
But they do, and you know why? And we heard from our guest before. It's the wrong bait, or it's not attached effectively on that little trip platform mechanism.
Or they're just that smart. I mean, they are so
apparently
intelligent.
They have muscle memory. They remember what you've done, so then they can start just gently taking it like a guac chip combination.
It's a buffet.
And taunt you.
I think that's a nice appetizer, right?
But he said it's usually you have to find out what is in your yard or near your roof line, what they're eating. It's fruit.
Well, the fruit trees are, gosh, we have so many fruit trees in our yard. We have a lot of the loquats, and they'll just kind of be falling all over the tree, and our dogs will get them. But you go, wait a minute, that leftover fruit, or the citrus trees, right?
Right, exactly.
And they're gnawing on that.
That's right. So you either eradicate the problem with the fruit tree and get rid of it, which you probably wouldn't, or you use that same thing to trick the little
them.
son of a gun and taunt them. Yeah, but using peanut butter, I guess, works really well because it adheres.
He said cheese does not.
Cheese
Forget
is
about cheese.
A fallacy.
Keep the cheese for yourself.
That's right. And go with peanut butter, and that seems to do the trick. Or a piece of that fruit and peanut butter combined, like a little sandwich.
I've been hearing the sounds of clawing, and I guess it's really not the clawing; it's them eating and gnawing on.
They have to file their teeth
inside
down.
The walls occasionally, and this is even after having folks come to your home. I mean, I think it's just it's an everyday part of life. In fact, you never are going to get rid of all the rats. It's just about keeping it at bay, keeping it at least a status quo. And
they show no mercy, or they care not what neighborhood you're in, because.
Beverly Hills.
Well, no, cut to my
Malibu.
Great friend from college, whose father's an incredibly famous movie star. And we were at their beach house one day, and he had just had surgery, so he was recovering, and said, I think a rat has died in the house. Can you help me out and look for it?
I can smell it.
So I opened the cabinet in this like $10 million Malibu mansion on the beach. Sure enough, there's a big rat. And apparently Malibu has a tremendous amount of rats because they love to live near the coastline. So they don't care where they are. They'll go anywhere. And of course, if I were a rat, I'd want to be in Malibu too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Malibu, anywhere.
Yeah.
Pacific Palisades.
And the worst part of it is when you hear the sound of the trap activating, it takes my family hostage because the sound is horrifying, because you know what you're going to have to face, and that's taking the trap out and putting in the garbage.
If you're lucky enough to catch the rat. I mean, a lot of times our rats will have not only gotten the snack, but then they trigger it, but then they escape from being caught.
That's right.
You know? And what about the sticky traps?
I've had nothing but failure with them.
I
told you,
ours,
Wyatt and I watched one just sort of crawl out of the thing after struggling.
They're
a bit.
gymnasts, is what they are.
They're
these rats.
superhuman. These things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've survived forever. Yeah, so I'm terrified of them. I hate them, and I don't like to deal with them whatsoever. But you have to, because ultimately they can be really dangerous.
And there's a big difference between the rats inside your home versus outside. Now, outside our house, we have what we call the rat hotels. You know, those little bait traps, where there's different kinds of chemicals that pest control folks will then set outside. You'll see them outside restaurants sometimes. Mm-hmm. You see them outside of grocery stores even. They're usually like a little black box, and there's a hole about the size of a tennis ball on either side. Right. And it's, just large enough for the rat to get in, but small where a dog, isn't going to get the poison, or a child.
Yeah, and then the problem with those is that there's the secondary kill, is what they call it. So, for example,
on some of them,
in my experience, we had a beautiful bird, a condor or some kind of a hawk, come down and kill the rat and eat it, and then we found it dead in our tree in Calabasas. And then there was this thing that happened where a farmer apparently fed poisoned meat to one of the pests, like the coyotes that were trying to go in and kill his livestock intentionally, and then a tremendous amount of bald eagles fed on this coyote, and they all died, and he was actually arrested
and sentenced.
And Bush ultimately pardoned this guy.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was amazing, because you have to be very careful with that secondary kill, and I think that's the green approach to killing rodents, is the old-fashioned trap, because they're not walking out and having other predators come and be poisoned by them. Mm-hmm. It's tricky business.
And you definitely don't want the rats to be trapped and killed inside your house, because then you're going to have them, they're inside the walls or they're in the attic, and it's really then tricky to find them and then to get rid of that odor.
Yeah, then you have to literally cut the drywall out and pull them out and then repatch, and it could take, hours.
So here in our kitchen remodel project, I mean, the guys were working around, they're getting rid of, in our laundry area, the flooring. They lifted all that up, and they were removing the sink that's right there sitting on top of this little cabinet and flooring. And what do they find but a family, or maybe they're not relatives, they're just buddies.
A couple of cousins, maybe.
I don't know. They were just swinging, hanging out together, and this is like maybe 5 or 7 rats. And really gross part was that apparently one of them was recently, fell ill or something. Yeah. And so I was kind of creeped out and yuck.
Well, listen to this. An average female has 4 to 7 litters a year, that with 8 to 12 pups.
They call pups. Isn't that cute?
I know.
They're
I don't like referring to them that way, but yes, that's what it is. So that's in a year. It's so many rats of one little family that are breeding. So yeah, you have to take care of them.
You have to control the problem, because of like your friend with the getting that illness. I mean,
Can you believe that? It's just terrible.
Bad disease.
Yeah. So John, I hope you feel better. Yeah. And then restaurants, it's they're crawling all over the place. I used to be a waiter years ago down in Venice, and the restaurant shall remain unnamed, but very well known. And I would take the garbage out, and sure enough, you see the rats scurrying about, and it's really a problem.
Well, our guy that Dennis Beltran we were talking to said that the worst case for him was this one restaurant. It was 100 rats.
100 rats. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, and he said, ultimately the restaurant did close down. Duh.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Well, what invites rats? Some of the stuff seems so obvious. Dog food, things like that. But we're going to give you some more tips to make sure that you can kind of fortify your home so that you aren't going to be creeped out. You can get a good night's sleep and not worry about those guys coming in and getting into your home. You're listening to Home Wizards, Cindy Dole with Eric Stromer here on KFWB News Talk 980. I love the movie Ratatouille.
I loved it. It was great. My kids love it too. Yep.
We're trying to make it sound pretty while we're talking about rats.
Rats.
Home Wizards here, where we love to help you improve your home and improve your life. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, and your mom was terrified by
poor
rats.
mom, Sally, back in Chicago in the 30s, I guess. She was a little girl at this time. Apparently, a family were living near where she lived, and a bunch of rats got into a bassinet and killed the little infant.
See, that sounds like that's some kind of a
I know,
myth.
but her whole life is predicated on this fear and phobia of rats as a result of that story. So I'm here to say, Sallystromer, it's all true.
That's kind of scary.
Isn't it? I know, it really is.
Well, I mean, when you think about how rats have a memory, and that's why they'll ignore a trap.
Right.
And go, you know what, I don't want that.
Yep, and they follow the walls as if it were a maze. That's how they navigate their way. They have to be near a wall because that's how they memorize, all the routes to get to your home to pester you.
Really smart.
Yeah, really smart.
And they'll remember the snacks that you have or the food you have. And pet doors is one of the watch out, don't have one kind of a thing,
yeah,
right?
this is a big deal. I've got a huge pet door.
You're thinking, oh, I'm okay because it's way up high. But
yeah, I have
they
a big
can jump.
dog, and they can apparently
They're javelin.
jump.
They did the javelin, They can, get in there.
They're very athletic creatures, yeah. So a couple of, tips, obviously, to keep these rats out of your house.
Well, I'm always worried about the holes. I mean, they don't need much more than, like a dime?
They can start from 3/8 of an inch and start hacking their way into your home. Stop doing that.
With their teeth?
Yeah.
Well, we have to laugh, otherwise we're going to cry and not going to sleep. But if you do these things, if you patch up the holes, and what do we like? We like some of the metals.
We love steel wool.
The metal screen.
We love metals, like galvanized screen that you can either staple
concrete.
down. Yep.
But not cardboard.
No, none of that
not
stuff.
Not wood.
No, it's got to be.
Yeah, because otherwise they're just going to say, you know what, this is a nice, crunchy, tasty, salad.
And then weather stripping is imperative. Again, think about it. 3/8 of an inch, a rat can basically crawl under any door. So you want to definitely get weather stripping on the bottoms of your doors
for your garages too.
Your garages as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just because you have your garage door down, everyone has it, that little slit that's at the bottom, that opening, right?
Right.
They're getting in, or on the sides, that little slit on the side, they can crawl right in there.
That's right.
And now they're just kind of burrowing and having a nest in your garage. And the signs of seeing rats, the rat pellets.
Oh, boy.
But also that kind of oily marking on the wall.
Yeah, see, now I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that?
No.
It's
Have
really
you?
creepy. Oh, yeah. It's definitely, especially if your home is painted in a lighter color, it's so obvious. It kind of looks like someone put cigarette ash across the wall, kind of a charcoaly black smudge.
Don't like it.
Don't like it.
No.
But it's important to know, because now you go, wait, these guys are hanging out.
And then also you can detect rat urine by using a black light.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And I'm going to run right out and look for some rat urine tonight with a black light, right?
Well, there's so many things that they can do to really damage the structure of your home, too. If you don't, we just don't want them inside the house. We don't want them messing with our home. And the bottom line is, we're not going to get rid of rats.
No.
We just have to try to control the population.
Control the problem and definitely get the traditional old school traps. I love them. I think they work the best.
Now, what about the crawl space? You've been under your home in the crawl space, right?
Yeah.
I was under there about a year or so ago. I didn't see any rats at the time. Did you see rats when you crawled under there?
I've seen so much because as a contractor for so many years, when you first get into the business, the guy that you're working for goes, all right, somebody's got to crawl under the house. I guess it's the new guy. So then you're putting on this
He's
orange.
bitter, right?
Yeah, he's bitter. You put on an orange onesie, essentially, a large zip-up suit and a hood, and then you got to crawl under there and run electrical or plumbing or whatever it is you're doing. So I've seen, dead possums and rats and, all sorts of horrible stuff. But they're all there. This is their country as well. This is where they live and thrive. Obviously, especially in all the underbrush and ivy, they just love it. It's like a rat condo.
And palm trees. They love palm trees.
And then don't forget about the tree rats. They literally leap. This is another reason to keep branches trimmed pretty extensively from the roof of your house, because they can jump 20 feet off of a tree and land and be fine. So you really want to cut stuff back. And then think about putting spark arresters over the chimneys, also any vents that come up through your roof line.
Or how about the cable, your TV cable stuff? Those little small openings, we all have them. It doesn't take much.
No, it really doesn't.
And I think that we're creating a lot of invitation
Yeah,
for the rats
and then in the kitchen cabinets too. I love going to some of the big box stores and buying those plastic containers where you can put your cereal or any of your other things that are traditionally open in a pantry, because it's important to keep it all sealed so that you don't get, number one, rodents, number two, those pesky moths that can sometimes show up in the cabinets.
I didn't realize if you have a dog house, by the way, and not for your spouse, but I mean, for your dog, if your dog is sleeping outside.
Oh, I've been in
rats,
the dog house.
You've been in the dog
Trust me.
house. But the rats can find, they know when the dog is sleeping or when they can sense the motion or whatever, and so they will burrow under and then get, I guess, under the dog bed and then come out just when it's the opportune time to get to any crumbs of dog food that may be left. So you aren't feeding Hazel outside, are you?
No, Hazel eats in the inside, mostly table scraps. She no longer cares for dry pet food.
So what are you going to do with your dog door? I mean, you're going to
this is a tough thing. It has two little flaps. So I wonder maybe if that would help. I've never really seen indication that the rat has come up through that dog door, but I'll tell you, I'll look at it and think it a little bit differently now. If I don't have the dog door, then the chances are pretty good that there could be accidents in the house from the pets, So I don't know what's worse. I guess the rats.
I think the rats. Okay. I think the rats.
Yeah.
I think that also getting like some hardware. You said the steel wool and the hardware cloth is a good idea. What about the other openings? I mean, in terms of like the front door, what should we do with the front door?
Again, a weather strip on the bottom. I mean, it's imperative. I have more than 3/8 of an inch on a couple of doors in the house. Mm-hmm. So these are like side doors that go into a pantry area and stuff. But, you definitely want to have the sweeps put on. And, those are pretty easy to install. You just have to take the door off and attach it to the bottom of the door and then reinstall it. So it's not, you just take the 3 pins out of the hinges, pull it off, put it on some sawhorses or something, and then you screw it to the bottom and cut it to size. It's about an hour and a half, 2-hour job, but I think it's worth it.
Something that a lot of people don't think about, I'm sure, is just keeping the door open. I mean, rats, it's a lovely day outside. You live in a safe neighborhood. You might want to have the door open to bring in some fresh air. But at that certain time of the day, they can sneak in, and now they're in. You just basically gave them
entree.
Yeah.
And you know what you do?
What do you do?
Self-closers.
Self-closers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really good idea to do that, because then you open the door, you walk out, it closes on its own, and then it's you have to have a little more timing if you're a rat to run in with a self-closer on the door.
I bet the rats can figure out the timing of the self-closer. These guys have rhythm.
Boy, do they ever.
And the bait hotels, are you using the bait hotels in your home, outside your home?
I'm not, but my mom and dad do. They use them at their house, and they've had a lot of success. But I'll tell you, I have found in the neighborhood lately a couple of crows have died and fallen in the front.
You had a possum in your backyard.
And I had a possum too, and I wonder if that was from other people's bait boxes in the neighborhood, because I bet that happens quite often. It was really sad to see that beautiful big bird that had died in the tree right by my house in Calabasas, and I know that was the reason. Don't get all wistful and sad. And don't refer to them as pups.
I know they're not pups. No. I know, little babies. Well, I just hope that those guys, those rats that are in our open attic, in our kitchen project, that they just, if they are there, that they stay away and don't come crawling down. And by the way, I want you to come and see some of the fun pictures. You were checking it out. We have a special splash page. If you go to cindykitchenproject.com, you're going to start to see this kitchen project come together. Your kitchen was done a couple years ago.
It was, and I'll tell you, it's an amazing event when a kitchen's remodeled, and it really is the heart of the home, and it tears all those boundaries down, and you start to get into some stuff psychologically as well as the physical inconvenience of having to. But
the living without the kitchen
life.
Part is really kind of fun. I mean, we've been grilling outside. We've done a little bit of dining out. I'm washing dishes in the galvanized tin tub, and
from the pictures, Bill looks like he's on a camping trip. It's kind of fun, actually.
So check it out. You can go there at cindykitchenproject.com. Our website is yourhomewizards.com. You can listen to past shows, and we're going to have more fun. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be here from 3 to 4.
I love
for a special
coming on
edition.
Sundays. Yep,
we'll see you then. Make sure you can join us, and until then, have a great weekend, and remember this, the key is under the mat. Bye-bye, everybody.